we'll start, Mark, just by asking you about this is very much a showpiece occasion. Is that the way you view it, or have you just viewed it as another opportunity to try and get points and get that URC qualification?
Yeah, both, if I'm honest with you, Graham. We're definitely not walking past the the occasion and the privilege of going out at your national stadium and playing on the hallowed turf, where obviously we know so many awesome memories have been created over the years. So to share the pitch with what's gone before is always a privilege. But there is a job to do. There is a derby. There is points up for grabs, and we can't also neglect the fact that we need to win a game of rugby as well to go along with the occasion.
Yeah, and you need to win, don't you, if you're going to realise your ambitions?
Yeah, I think I said a couple of weeks ago, I genuinely believe we probably need to win 3 games out of the last 4 if you really want to be, in genuine, contention and take it out of the hands of other people's results. So yeah, we got 4 to go. So yeah, this is this is a big fixture for us. With it being a home fixture, if you like. It's our home fixture, but it's at the stadium. Yeah, we feel like we need to get some decent points out of this game, but I think the first and foremost, we've got to get a good performance. If we get a good performance, we give ourselves a chance.
Yeah. You've had a pretty good record against them in this fixture, and particularly in the Judgement Day. What can you take from that?
I think you can take from it that we're a team that doesn't get too overawed by the occasion and the enormity of playing there. Because you have got a mixed group that come to the Judgement Day stadium. You've got international players, that are just comfortable there. It's like a second home. And then you've got players that are going out there for the first time, whether they're homegrown young players or players from overseas that necessarily haven't experienced it. So I think what it shows is that we've got the mentality to be able to deal with the big occasion in that respect. And I think it probably speaks volumes around the quality of the teams that have gone before us, in terms of the players that are out there doing the job. So yeah, but other than that, it stops there, doesn't it? Because it's one game in isolation. Cardiff have been very strong all year. They've picked up some big wins along the way. They've been, they're in around the top 4 for the large part of the season, and obviously with us just teetering on the brink now, all of us, or 3 of us anyway, of getting into the playoffs. So we're looking forward to it, mate. But it is very much business as well as enjoying the occasion.
Talking of teetering on the brink, they were teetering on the brink a week ago financially, and they've gone through all that distress and turmoil. That's going to affect their players, isn't it?
I'm not sure. It'll affect them in some way, because I've been through it in Worcester, when the rumours started there around our financial stability, and then all of a sudden it comes out and it becomes official with somebody letting you know exactly what's going on. It affects different people in different ways. It could affect them in a positive way, in which they come together and galvanise each other and really support each other. But also it could turn people into, becoming very looking inward and probably worrying about yourself rather than, the bigger picture. So, look, it will affect different people in different ways. And, we as Ospreys obviously feel for those people that are affected by it, everybody at Cardiff Rugby, because it's not any of the playing group's fault or the management group's fault or the physio's fault. They've just been going about their work. These types of things are very much above that level, and unfortunately it's those players that are feeling the effects of it right now.
Yeah, you mentioned that Worcester experience, Mark. Did you see it have an impact on performance, or did players manage to put that aside?
Oh, the Worcester players were awesome around trying to put it to one side. They very much were. We were working and playing without pay, and some were without contracts and still turning up for work, and you had staff exactly the same, not just the players. So there was a good group, but we naturally had a few guys that that felt like they saw themselves better off somewhere else, while there was the uncertainty, and you have to accept that. That's just the nature of human beings, and everybody's different. So yeah, it was awful. It was an awful time. But it's great to see Worcester back now, and obviously in the tier 2 of the English system, and it's great to see those people and that club coming back alive.
Yeah, I suppose if there are players at Cardiff who feel that same way, that they want to move on, this is a chance to put themselves in the shop window, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That it depends how they view it. some will look at it and go, yeah, look, I see my future somewhere else now, maybe, or the decision's been made that there's no future for me, and this is my opportunity to promote myself. No doubt about that. It's definitely an occasion for that, and obviously each player will view it in their own way.
And just lastly, this has a knock-on effect off the field, and I know that's not really your bag, not your responsibility, but what it has done is to focus minds perhaps amongst the other three regions that there needs to be an equality of distribution and an equality of impact when the union takes over one region. Are you firmly behind that stance that whatever needs to be agreed has to be equal?
Well, I'm not really behind anything because I'm not privy to what the detail is. It's difficult to say you're behind something when you don't understand the detail from either side. So it'd be inappropriate really for me to comment on that because I'm not coming from a place of information. So what I'm focused on is the budget that we've got here at the moment is in place. The salary cap that we're working to is in place. We're within our budgetary restraint, and we're really happy with the group of players we've got locked in. So until somebody else tells me that's increasing or decreasing, I've got to just deal with the circumstances I've been set with. So yeah, look, I once I hear what it looks like, then I can decide whether I'd get in behind it or not.
Mark, you're still the most fleet-footed, elusive man in rugby. I thought I'd pinned you down in a corner there, and you feinted two ways. You left me. You dummied. You went. That was just brilliant.
Well,
brilliant.
Thanks,
Absolute
Graham.
Masterclass of evasion. Well done.
Yes, and I love the way that you tried to get me in the corner as well. Equally as tactful.
Good. Well, there we are. 50-50. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Great to see you.
And you.
Hi, Mark. I'm assuming Gareth still hasn't got the BBC engineers to fix his laptop, so I'll jump in.
Okay, no problem.
You mentioned the uncertainty of last week. How have your players dealt with that? Have they been asking questions as to what it means to them? Obviously, it's uncertainty a little bit further afield, but it's still within Welsh rugby, and naturally they're probably going to be wondering what it means for them.
No, nobody's come up to me directly and asked me around, where do the Ospreys sit and how do we lay. The one thing that's been really evident in my time at the Ospreys, and certainly since Lance has come in, he and Dan Griff are very clear on the communication side of things. So if anything is coming from above us and needs to be, transferred into the playing group and communicated, we're very, very mindful of that because we respect all our stakeholders here at the Ospreys. It's very important that they hear the breaking news, if you like, before the public hear the breaking news. And Lance came in and made us pretty aware that there was going to be an announcement regarding Cardiff and what that announcement was. And so I think our players felt like they were well in the loop. And obviously, we're very fortunate. There's no question marks around ourselves in the same light as what it has been around Cardiff Rugby recently. So that's positive from our playing group's point of view and staff point of view. And
you mentioned wanting to win or needing to win 3 out of the last 4. You've just come out of 2 knockout matches. You're basically going into 4 more knockout matches. How do you keep it fresh and temper what is quite a long sort of run into the season? These 4 weeks are vital.
Yeah, well, I think when you get older, like I am, you the things that keep you young are the people that you're working with, and the people that keep you fresh are, is the freshness around the group. So, we've kept a good freshness around our playing group over the last few weeks. We've offered opportunity. We've had some injuries which have given opportunity as well. So I think there's a natural freshness and energy around the group because of the things I just mentioned, and that in itself breathes life into like you say, what is another big game. But look. You as a professional in whatever line of work you're in, you want something on the line. It's the adrenaline, the dopamine sort of fix that you get from, the jeopardy is what drives you. And we're really excited about what's on this game for both teams and what it could help set up in the next 3 games after it. So yeah, it's been easy really around keeping the energy and the freshness in the room. Coaching staff and medical staff and S&C staff and the players themselves always keep a good freshness, and we're always aware of that regardless of what stage of the season we're in.
How are you looking injury-wise heading in? Obviously, last weekend you had Justin, Reese and Adam will go off. How are they looking?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm honest with you. We've got some guys that are going to go and probably need some surgical intervention, and then we've got a couple who probably are much more positive. So we could see them around the team in the next few weeks, which is great. And then we've got those guys that have had a little bit of rotation that we'll bring back into the group as well. So it's a bit of a mix, but we feel like we're pretty happy with the group we've got to pick from, and we feel like it'll be a pretty well oiled and a well stacked Ospreys team that runs out on the Millennium, or should I say the Principality? Show my age again.
So who are the players who are likely needing surgery?
Yeah, so we've got Morgan Morris and Rhys Davis who are awaiting probably some surgical intervention, and that's going to probably happen later in the week. And then we've got Beardy and Tips who probably have fared up a bit better than we thought, and they'll be around selection hopefully between now and the end of the season. What we don't know is the time scale on that. We're still waiting to hear back around that.
So with Morgan and Rhys, that's their season done, you're assuming at this point? Yeah,
we're assuming that we won't see them for our games. Whether they get back, for tours or anything like that, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see on that. But certainly, they're going to need some intervention. We don't see them being around our rugby for sure.
Those are the main four. There's no one else, sort of, or is it?
No, those are the ones that you're referencing from last week's game. We've clearly got other players that have been long-term injured and they're coming back around it. So we've got people like Will Griff back training consistently with the group now, which is awesome. Harry Deeves is around the group training now regularly. So we've got some nice quality there that's coming back around it. And obviously we've got those players that haven't been selected recently but are still fighting fit and trying to get into the team themselves.
Just with Morgan, what's Morgan's injury? Because obviously I don't think he was mentioned last week, was he, after the match? So what's his knock? Yeah, he's got an issue with his foot in terms of the stability of it. I don't want to go into embarrass myself by trying to talk about something I've got no idea about, but there's some instability in his foot, and the concern there is that it's not going to fix itself and might need some intervention. So he's going to get that done. We feel that sets him up best for a good pre-season and lets him hit the ground running for next year. And it's disappointing. It's not the sort of injury that you can play through just by being mentally tough. He did that, because this issue happened before half time, so he's already done that bit. He already toughed it out and got to the end of the game and put in a pretty impressive performance in doing so. So we probably feel now the right thing by Morgs is to get him right and give him the best chance of flying into next year. I guess on the flip side, the disappointing as those injuries are, it gives guys like James Fender and Morgan Morse brilliant opportunities between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%. Those guys are in and around the matchday squad anyway, so they'll be still around the matchday squad. We'll obviously decide on whether they come in to start or whether we use them off the bench as we've done previously. But look, as I said to you before, we're very, very grateful for the type of depth we've got in certain positions, and whilst we lose huge quality and experience, we're looking more at what we're gaining with the guys that are coming in to play a role instead of those guys.
Brilliant.
Thanks,
Best of luck
Ben.
on the weekend, Mark.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Cheers.
I just asked you, Mark, what Rhys Davis' injury was.
Hiya, Si. How are you?
I'm sitting next to him. We decided to partner up this weekend. It's Judgement Day, so all teams come together.
Saving on the internet connection. I like your thinking, mate. Yeah, one bill. I think I just heard you right there. Asking about Rhys, were you?
Just about Rhys, yeah, that's all. What his injury was.
Yeah, Rhys had an high ankle injury that he picked up just trying to hold somebody up over the line, just rolled his ankle over, and some pretty bad discomfort there. Thankfully, it's not anything to do with his previous injuries that have kept him out, which is it's pleasing because it shows that he's got through those well. But obviously, it's disappointing for Rhys because he's had to deal with so much this year, mentally around the injuries and the disappointment of being injured, and put so much effort and commitment into coming back, and everybody could see really that work that he's done has been incredible because he's come back looking like $1 million, isn't he, the way he's played. So look, it's disappointing. Rhys is disappointed, as are the group around it, but look, it's an opportunity for Rhys to get better, as it is for Morgs, etc., and these boys can focus on coming back fitter, stronger, and more robust than they were before the injuries.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Thanks, mate. Thank you, buddy.
I don't know if Gareth can get on yet, or you still struggling? Yeah. I was going to ask you about the importance of the bonus points at the stage of the season, Mark. Really, does that kind of affect the way you kind of approach the match? Were you expecting more and more of an expansive game this weekend?
Yeah, good question. I think wins are going to affect the table more than bonus points. If you get the wins, then obviously the bonus points become vital. And I think when you go away on tour, etc., then those bonus points, however they come, through wins or losing bonus points, they could prove pivotal as well. But look, that tour won't mean anything unless we get some decent points out of the next two fixtures. We've got to make sure we focus on this game on the weekend. That helps us set up what we think we might and might not need in the last 2 or 3 games. So our focus is not going past this game and trying to win this game. That's where our focus is.
Last week you said the execution wasn't perhaps quite on point. That's the main focus perhaps this week, would you say?
Yeah, it's definitely been a huge part of our review, and obviously the players are then looking to refocus their mind around that execution. Look, I think it speaks volumes. Like we weren't bad last weekend. We weren't poor. We didn't, stink the place out with our performance. But what we have done, certainly, and I can only comment since my time of since I've come into my new role, is the boys have been incredibly accurate in the games that we've won, and it just shows how accurate you have to be to win top-end games. And they've set themselves a really high bar. So when we say we weren't accurate, we're talking around accuracy compared to our own standard, and we definitely dropped below where we've been. And some of that was ourselves, a lot of it was ourselves, but some of it was also Leon, putting in one of the best defensive performances we've seen away from home by a team in Europe for quite some time. To be defended in your own 22 for 9.5 minutes and only concede 2 tries, that says a lot about their performance. And if I'm honest with you, we got a lot of it right around our game plan. We felt that if we could put that sort of work rate into them defensively, that at some point they would probably leak and break, and they didn't. And you have to give them credit for that. But I was just pleased that we were able to dominate the game we did the way we did and give ourselves the opportunities that we gave ourselves, because that tells you that you've got a pretty good group that you're working with. And look, we're always looking to be more accurate. That's why we're here. That's why we come to work.
How have the boys responded to the loss last week, coming so close? Is there a few in particular that might have taken it a bit harder than others and you've had to give a bit more of an arm round to?
No, they've responded awesomely well. Really, really good. Really looking forward mindset. Very open and humble around the learnings, like accepting where individually they could be better, or as a unit they could be better. Like, awesome how they've accepted that responsibility of accepting where they could be better, but also making sure we recognise that there was some pretty good stuff there as well around lots of areas of our game. So excuse me, sorry. So it's important to have one with the other. You just can't keep looking at the negative. You've got to make sure you respond to the positive and you recognise the positive. And I think the group, outside of the coaching staff or the regular staff, they've taken that on board and been really, really open and humble around that this week. So I've been impressed.
Last one for me, really. Just wanted to talk to you about the form of Jack Walsh. He's been quite consistent in his performances in recent weeks. Very effective in the games with his dogged displays. Yeah. Does that kind of sum up the kind of mentality you really want within the team at the moment? Yeah,
look, I love what Walsh is about. His whole court game around his preparation to his in-game decision making, his point of difference as a player, and then his toughness around like the effort stuff. He's an awesome example to the group, and he's still a young man. He's still 24, Walshy. He's still a young guy. He's got a hell of a lot to give. He's got more to give. And the fact that he's keeping people like Iestyn Hopkins and Max Nagy out of the team in that full-back position says a lot, because Nagy has had that not locked down pretty at full-back for a couple of seasons, really. So the fact that he's keeping Max out the team along with Iestyn, as I said, shows, like you said, what his form has been like. And what I like about Walshy is he's very honest. He's got a dry sense of humour, but he's serious. He's serious about his footy, and look, the team looks very, very good when he's in it, and he's at his best, and he's had some big impact around our season, and we're hoping that he can finish the season like he has up to this point, where he's brought an awful lot to the game, both sides of the ball.
Just finally with tips. Is he looking? Do you think he's likely for the Dragons game? I know he doesn't want the fanfare of it probably, but is he likely to play in that?
Yeah, we're not sure, but we've set it up. We've set it up for him and his family, and it's all set up for Tips to be around that game. But look, he doesn't need surgery, which is awesome news, and his mindset is, he's not finished yet. So we're giving him the best opportunity to get back out there, which is brilliant. It means I got to do a bit more work, mind, while he's still in his playing mode, but that's all right. I'll definitely accept that trade-off for sure.